Hey, what's going on YouTube family? It's your man Pristine back with another video. Alright y'all, this one's a tough one. Okay, this one is a tough one. Look y'all, I did the unthinkable, right? I did the unthinkable. I did something that I said I'd never do. I did something that I thought that I would never do. Alright, now, you know what I'm saying? Man, I have to, get my usher on, you know what I'm saying? These are my confessions, you know what I'm saying? It's time for some confessions, you know what I'm saying? So the iPhone 11 drops. And of course, I pick it up. I mean, I'm a tech reviewer, you know what I'm saying? The new iPhones can't come out and I cannot get it, you know what I'm saying? The tech reviewer in me just won't allow me to not get the new iPhones when they drop, even though I am an avid Android user. A lot of you guys that follow my channel, you know that I am an avid Android user. You know what I mean? An Android fan. And so, I like both operating systems between Apple and between iOS and Android. But of course, with Android being such an open market, such an open platform to pretty much do whatever you want with your devices, that to me has been the main reason as to why I would always go with Android, and because of the fact too that you've got so many different manufacturers that make Android devices, and so they tend to offer more. They tend to be the leader in innovation when it comes to new features and functions and stuff like that. Apple, as we know it, has always been behind the curve, and a lot of things that they introduce is never really anything new. These are things that, things that have been done in the Android space, sometimes long before Apple decides to adopt these features and functions, whatever those may be, and implement them on their hardware. And so for that reason alone, I'm just like, you know what? It's all Android, team Android, hashtag Android, you know what I'm saying? And I've kind of knocked Apple, you know what I'm saying, just because I'm like, I'm not really a big fan of the Apple dictatorship. You know what I mean? I understand that they're their own proprietary entity. You know what I'm saying? And there's only certain things that they allow you to do with their devices, right? You can't put another launcher on an iPhone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so stuff like that, if you guys are wondering like what I'm talking about, Android is such an open platform to where you can do what you want. I mean, you can download apps from unknown sources. You can download new launchers. You can customize these phones to do and look exactly what you want them to, well, not necessarily to do certain things, maybe with certain launchers and things that you may download, you can, there's different features that come along that may not have been on the initial launcher on whatever that device may be, but you just seem to have a much wider range of things to do with your Android devices than iOS Apple devices because of the fact that they're that open platform. I've never really been a big fan of the Apple dictatorship and just basically dictating to us what we can and can't do. But here's the thing. Is that really a big deal if what Apple allows you to do pretty much covers how you use your device? Okay. Now, like I said shortly after I got the iPhone 11 here, typically whenever I would have an iPhone, you know what I'm saying, I would have the iPhone and that would be it. Okay. I've never had an iPhone. I've never had an Apple Watch. I've never had an iPad. I've never had earbuds or AirPods all at the same time. And so after I got the iPhone 11 here, I was like, you know what? I'm going to completely immerse myself in the Apple experience just to see if I'll be able to identify with all the Apple fanboys and fangirls out there that just cannot seem to let Apple go, even though there are better choices out there in the Android space, in my personal opinion. Now, I got to admit, I think that was a bit of a mistake, and I can't say a mistake in a bad way, but I think that I've come to the light and I understand now why so many people just can't let Apple go. Okay, it's the simplicity and the overall user experience and how well all of these things play together within this Apple iOS ecosystem. Yes, okay, I admit it. I got sucked into the ecosystem and now here I am. I'm stuck like Chuck, just like everybody else, and I understand now what the hype is about. Okay, I know that I uploaded the video, I think it was yesterday, on Life with the Galaxy Fold, and somebody hit me down in the comments, was like, man, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you talking about the Fold, but you got the AirPod in your ear. Well, to kind of explain that, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for one, I mean, you know, these are paired to my iPhone, and my iPhone is my main iOS device. Typically, I travel with two phones, an iPhone and an Android phone, and so my Galaxy Fold is my Android phone of choice at the moment. But don't get it confused, these AirPods, they're not just for iPhones, they are Bluetooth headphones, so you can pair those to any phone that has Bluetooth capabilities. Okay, so be mindful of that, okay? These AirPods, which I think are the most comfortable, best Bluetooth earphones that there are, they can be paired to any Bluetooth device. It doesn't necessarily just have to be an iPhone, okay? Pardon me. But have you ever seen like Marquez Brownlee's videos? And a lot of times he's talking, you know, he reviews everything. A lot of phones that he reviews are Android devices. But if you pay attention to his wrist, what's on his wrist, ladies and gentlemen? An Apple Watch. You know what I'm saying? So this just seems to be a common trend with a lot of tech reviewers. And it's not just Marquez Brownlee, myself. It's a lot of other people that are reviewing tech that may not be Apple related, but at the same time, you may spot us with an AirPod in our ear or an Apple Watch on our wrist. Just because we're reviewing a product that doesn't have anything to do with Apple, it's not to say that we're not still Apple connected. You know what I'm saying? So what I did was, after I got the iPhone 11, I was like, let me completely immerse myself in this experience just to see what all the hype's about. And so I went out and I got myself some AirPods. I got the Apple Watch Series 4, and I got myself the newest in the iPad family, the iPad Air 3rd generation. And if you look at the iPad Pros, if you want to compare them on the spec sheet, these fall right underneath the iPad Pros of 2018, okay? But the spec sheet is very similar. This is a very, very, very powerful device. And I like the fact that it's a much bigger screen. We've got a 10.5-inch display here as opposed to the 9.7-inch display. So you've got much more screen real estate. It doesn't quite have the 120 hertz refresh rate, but it's not a big deal. Everything is nice and fluid. And I'll talk more about this in a separate video. But basically the point that I'm trying to make is with my iPhone 11, my Apple Watch Series 4, my AirPods 2nd generation, and my iPod or my iPad Air 3rd gen, I am completely hooked and immersed in the iOS system. Now, one of the main reasons why, I know, like I talked about in the Android space, Android gives you the freedom to do a lot of different things that you just can't do on an iPhone. But doesn't really matter if you don't really use those things. Things that make us go, Okay, typically, whenever I get a new Android phone, I rock with the skin that is on the device. I never change launchers or anything like that. A lot of people think that I do because I customize and I change, you know, my apps around. You know, a lot of the Android phones, they give you the ability to change or put on different icon packs. And so my icons look a little different. And so people think that I uploaded a different launcher, but I'm just like, no, all I did was change the wallpaper and move some apps around or change the icon pack. You know, it'd be sweet to be able to do that on an iPhone, you know what I'm saying? But it's not really one of those things to where it's just like, okay, it's gonna make or break as to whether or not I can or cannot use an Apple iOS device. The fact of the matter is, this phone is a beast of a phone. And although Apple is typically late to the party with a lot of the innovations, the fact of the matter is, a lot of those key things that I'm talking about are now on these iPhones. What am I talking about? Dark mode and wireless charging and fast charging and all that kind of thing. Now, it sucks that the fast charger didn't come with the iPhone 11 and it has to be bought as a separate accessory, but I have an Anchor wall adapter that's like 30 watts. And so I just take my little USB cord, plug it into that Anchor adapter in the wall, plug it into my iPhone, and my iPhone charges up extremely fast. It charges everything extremely fast. I mean, so I'm not really tripping over the fact that they didn't throw that in there. But I mean, even though we're still rocking this real old school lightning adapter, hopefully on the next iterations of the iPhones, this is going to be a Type-C port rather than this lightning adapter. But it still doesn't really matter at this point because I still have fast charging. And when I put this on my wireless charger, it also seems to charge pretty quickly. Okay, so, you know, typically the things that I'm looking for mostly on my phones, which is excellent battery life, which the iPhone 11 has here, a really good screen, which the iPhone 11 has here, stupid cameras, okay, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but I'm saying some of the best cameras that you can get on any smartphone right now is here on the iPhone 11, and just the overall experience and seamlessness between how this phone plays with the AirPods. I just take the little AirPods out of its container, stick it in my ear, you hear the little sound, it's connected, just like that. I turn on my Apple Watch, and it's connected, just like that. And speaking of the Apple Watch, ladies and gentlemen, the Apple Watch, to me, in my opinion, has to be the absolute best cell phone companion that there is. Okay, now this is the Bluetooth version. It's not the GSM connected version because I don't need all that. Okay, I have this watch set up to mirror my iPhone, and so basically everything that my iPhone does, I get here on my wrist, from all kind of notifications, text messaging, email, scores from the games, phone calls. Man, I get FaceTime on this thing. I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, the things that you can do on this phone, and I got it at a steal from Best Buy. I got the Apple Watch Series 4 for $299 because it was an open box. And so I will drop a gem on you, ladies and gentlemen. Do not sleep on the open box items at Best Buy. I know some of you guys may be scratching your heads like, man, this is open box electronics. I ain't going nowhere near it. It's probably defective. There's a reason why the person returned it. Yo, check it out. People buy stuff and they don't like it all the time for whatever reason. Best Buy has what's called the Geek Squad, and the Geek Squad thoroughly inspects anything that's returned. And because of the fact that it was bought and opened, they put it back on the floor. Granted that everything is fully functional, but they have to sell it at a discounted price because of the fact that it's already been opened. They can't turn around and sell it for the brand new prices. And I've gotten some really, really, really good deals on open box electronics. And because of the fact that they're open box, they do let you open up the box and turn on the device for yourself. And so you do have the ability to play with the device and make sure that everything is fully functional for yourself before you spend your hard-earned money on it. And so this is a way to get your hands on some really, really, really good deals. Apple Watch Series 4 discontinued now, ladies and gentlemen, because of the fact that the Series 5 is out. So now you can only get the Series 5 and the Series 3. There are some pretty significant differences between the Series 3 and the Series 5, granted the price difference. Okay, but the Series 4 and the Series 5, the only difference is always on display in a compass. That's it. That's why Apple decided to discontinue the Series 4. So if you can find Series 4s around, you can score some really, really, really good deals. Now, I think that the only thing that comes close to the functionality of the Apple Watch is probably the Samsung Galaxy Watch Active 2. Okay, and I'm gonna get that so I can pair that up with my Galaxy Fold, and I'm gonna do a comparison between the Apple Watch Series 4 and the Galaxy Watch Active 2. So stay tuned for that. But I think that's probably going to be the closest thing that you're going to get to the functionality of an iPhone and how it plays or an Apple Watch and how it plays so well with the iPhone. So just between that and just the overall seamlessness of the ecosystem, you know, whenever I take pictures with my phone, if I want to go and do some edits or whatever, or upload videos or whatever on my iPad, it's just seamless. Everything that I do on my phone is already on my iPad as soon as I open up my iPad. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to do any manual transfer or anything. I mean, it's beautiful. And it's the same thing with files, you know, or anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can set this thing up to where, you know, if I just want a bigger campus to play with, any text message that I get from my boys or whoever that goes to my Apple, my iPhone, it will be here on my iPad, and I've got a much bigger screen real estate to be able to return those texts. I've got a full QWERTY keyboard at my disposal. I mean, just like little stuff like that. And so, and real quick, let me touch on this because I know that the AirPod Pros are out now, and I know that there's some music, some music files out there that are just talking real grimy and greasy about these AirPods second gens. I've been on music tough, ladies and gentlemen, ever since that I was a small child. And I love different genres of music. And one of the main things that I love is being able to customize sound. I love things that have equalizers to give us the ability to play with the sound so that we can customize the sound to our liking. Okay, now since the AirPod Pros have come out, I've heard people slam these second gen AirPods, and I'm like, as if they're garbage. They're not garbage. They sound absolutely amazing. And this is coming from somebody that is a music junkie. I've got so many tapes and CDs, hundreds of them. I can't let them go. Now, I don't listen to them anymore because they're a thing of the past. They're just stacked up in my garage. And, we've got, streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music and things of that nature. But I like the fact that these little AirPods, the reason why I like these over the AirPod Pros is because you just put them in your ear and they rest comfortably. And that's all you have to do. They have sensors on them to where you put it in your ear. They know that they're in your ear. You hear a little sound, which is an indicator that it's connected to the phone. And that's it. And it just rests ever so comfortably on your ear. The AirPod Pros are similar to the Galaxy Buds where you have to put them all the way in your ear and they plug your ear up. And I understand that there's little pass-through, little holes and things on the AirPod Pro so that you still can hear exteriorly things, you still can hear outside noises, but that's very uncomfortable after a while. These, they just rest in your ear and they're so comfortable you don't even realize that they're there. They're featherweights and they sound ever so amazing. The treble, the bass, all the little tracks and things that you can hear in songs are perfect. They are perfect. I mean, it's not like one thing is drowning out the other one, but you can control the equalizer to kind of customize that sound how you want to. But these are a comfortable fit. The sound is right on cue, just how I like them to be. They're nice and lightweight and they're comfortable. And so the experience overall for me is really what has me. You know what I mean? And so, I did the unthinkable, ladies and gentlemen. I did something that I never thought that I would do, but it is what it is. Your boy Pristine is now sold on Apple. All right. So I never thought that I would be saying this to you. I never thought that this would be a reality. But again, it's like, how would I know? Because typically, like I said, when I would have an iPad, but I wouldn't have an iPhone, or I would have an iPhone, but no Apple Watch or no iPad or no AirPods. And so it's like when you get an iPhone and you get yourself an Apple Watch as a companion, you get yourself some AirPods, whether it be the second gens or the Pros, whichever one you decide to go with. You get yourself an iPad and you start using these things on a day in and day out basis. You will find how simple it is and how everything just works together. And speaking of the iPad, people ask, can this thing replace your laptop? In my personal opinion, it can, because of the portability. You know what I'm saying? And I got this through Verizon. This is the Bluetooth and LTE version. So I can take this thing anywhere with me and I can use it. And, it's just a little computer right there at your disposal. You know what I'm saying? And just having the ability to maneuver all over the house with this thing and have like full on computer functionality. Like my computer over here, which some people get it twisted in thinking that it's a Mac. It's not. People assume that it's a Mac because it's white, but it's an HP. You know what I'm saying? But it's like that basically keeps me stationary to my little desk right there. Well, if I want to maneuver around the house or anywhere else, that's where the iPad comes in handy. You see what I'm saying? So the portability aspect of these devices and how well they play together is really something special, and there's really nothing else out there like it, ladies and gentlemen. There's things that come close, but not quite. Now, there's nothing that's topping Apple as far as the overall ecosystem and how all their devices play so well together. I'm hooked. I never thought I would say it, but that's the reality of it. So don't be surprised, ladies and gentlemen, if I'm reviewing other tech products that have nothing to do with Apple, but you see me with my Apple Watch on or my AirPods in my ear. Don't trip. You know what I'm saying? Just know that I'm sold on everything that Apple's been selling for years now. I get it now. I finally get it. So, ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot of little things that are within this ecosystem that really, really make it something special. Now, another thing, as far as like, being just an audiophile and, listening to music, my main music streaming source has been Spotify, and it's been Spotify for years. Now, initially, when Apple dropped iTunes years ago, iTunes revolutionized the music game as far as how we bought music, right? Because you had the ability to buy whole albums or you could buy single songs, you know what I'm saying? And so, those days of only liking maybe 4 or 5, maybe 6 songs out of an album that had anywhere from 14 to 16 tracks, you can go and buy those songs individually for $129.99 plus taxes, as opposed to having to pay for that whole album. You know what I'm saying? They had the little iPods, and man, me and my boys were sprung over the iPod, right? Sprung over iPod, sprung over iTunes. Well, Apple Music, okay, Apple's done away with iTunes. Now it's just Apple Music, and they basically turned it into a streaming service, but you still have the iTunes-ish types of features and functions if that's what you want to do. So if you still want to buy whole albums, or if you want to buy individual songs, you still have the ability to do that. Or if you just want a streaming service, just like you would on Spotify, you would spend your $9.99 a month, you know what I'm saying? And you can, put any album into your library. You can, create custom playlists, all this type of thing. Now, I'm huge on sound, okay? And I've noticed that, when I bought my iPhone 11 here, I had a 3-month subscription to Apple Music. I ignored it because I was like, well, I got Spotify. I'm paying the subscription to Spotify. Why would I worry about Apple Music? Okay, it's a non-factor, no big deal. But then one day something told me, just try it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you did get turned out by iTunes. Apple was the one that introduced iTunes and gave you this whole other way of purchasing and listening to music. So give it a shot. You may like it. And I'm glad that I did that. So I'm still within my 3 months. I think my 3 months ends on like the 21st of January, 2020. But I am sold on it. And I'm definitely going to be, paying my $9.99 for my subscription monthly. And I may just do away with Spotify. I'm not quite sure yet because I've got so much music and playlist in my library on Spotify. But here's the thing. I'm all about clarity in the way music sounds. With Apple Music, I feel like Apple Music gives us the best listening experience. Okay, so I got a bunch of playlists that I have on Spotify that I was trying to recreate on Apple Music, which meant that I was going to Spotify, listening to songs, or just trying to remember the titles of tracks, and I was running over to Apple Music real quick and downloading the same song. So I was listening to a lot of the same songs on Spotify and on Apple Music, trying to get it on Apple Music while I was creating a playlist. What I noticed was that the sound quality on Apple Music was so much better than what it is on Spotify. And I'm talking about overall clarity, just hearing voices, hearing sounds, the hi-hats, the bass drums, and the different beats. It was just like the Apple Music is just functioning on a completely different frequency, which offers way better and much clearer audio sounds. And it just provides a better listening experience. And this just blew my mind, you know what I mean? And so like I said, I've just been rocking with Spotify for years. And I was like, why be worried about Apple Music when I've got Spotify? But it's like now that I'm hip to Spotify, or I'm hip to Apple Music, mainly because I've got so immersed in this Apple ecosystem. And I was like, well, let me give it a shot just to see. Now I'm just like, man, I'm like recreating all my playlists and everything that I have already on Spotify on Apple Music now, because it's like I want to listen to those songs or those playlists in the highest form, the highest quality possible, which is Apple Music. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a combination of just, again, the ecosystem and how well all the devices play together, the overall quality of the sound from Apple Music, the power of the iPhone, the cameras on the iPhone. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the portability and the comfort of the AirPods and how good they sound, the portability of the iPad and just having this little computer in your hands that gives you full-on desktop type experiences wherever you want to go in such a portable package. It's just, everything is just so seamless. It's simple in its power, it's just quality at its finest in every facet of everything that you're using Apple. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so I think the next thing is probably going to be, I'm going to buy a Mac. That's like the only thing that I need to get to complete to complete the package. You know what I'm saying? And iMac is like the only thing that I don't have. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm Apple everything right now, but I'm still using my Windows computer. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so yeah, man, it's very crazy for me to say that I'm just turned out. It's like I'm all Apple everything. All Apple everything is crazy. You know what I'm saying? But that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I'm not making these things up. I'm talking to you about these things because this is the reality of what it's been. And so it's like I see now why so many people that are hooked on Apple, even though there are better options out there, more powerful options out there, or devices out there that offer more features or functionality or just whatever the case, it's like I get it now as to why people are so sold on their Apple devices. Man, I get it now. I admit it. All right, y'all. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't it also seem as though Apple products just plays better with everything? Like, it seems like everything is optimized for iPhones, right? It seems like when I go into certain apps, or just a lot of different apps in general on my iPhone, the experience seems to be a little bit more fluid, and sometimes you may have more features or functions available to you in these particular apps that there may not be on Android apps. And so I find that interesting how, like, I can have two of the same applications on both my iPhone and my Galaxy Fold. Okay, but when I open an app on my iPhone, the two apps are the same, but I may have the ability to do more, or there may be more features or functions available to me in the app on the iPhone rather than on the Samsung Android device. You know what I'm saying? It just seems like everything just plays a little better. Like, even like, I just bought an electric car, ladies and gentlemen, and you know, for the long time I've been talking Tesla. And I think that Tesla is still one of the best cars to get if you're going electric. And that's probably going to be my next purchase because I'm completely turned out. I'm done with paying for gas. And so I got a BMW i3. Okay. Now, when I go into my BMW i3 app on my iPhone, it's interesting that I've got the same app downloaded on my iPhone and on my Galaxy Fold. But when I open the BMW app on my iPhone, which is kind of similar to Tesla's app, you know, you have the ability to, you know, lock the doors on the car, or start the car, or climatize the car. You know, you can set the temperature for different times. So if you know you're going to be leaving at 4 o'clock and it's freezing cold and you want to make sure that your car is warm, you can do all that from the app, right? It seems like on the BMW Connected app on my iPhone, it shows much more information than it does on the same app on my Galaxy Fold. And so that's just an example of just how it seems like things are just, it just seems by default just optimized better with Apple products as opposed to Android devices. Not to say that you can't utilize these apps and functions on Android phones, but it just seems like iPhones just offer more in the same apps. I mean, I find it to be very strange, but that's the way that it is. It's just the little things. It's little things like that that just make the user experience with Apple better. You know what I mean? And it's like you wouldn't know those things until you actually just, you know, got yourself an iPhone and really rocked with it. Like, a lot of times too, I get very bored with Apple products very fast. And so a lot of times I don't keep them for that long. I sell them, you know what I'm saying? I get them off and I turn around and use that money and cop something else. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think this is probably the longest that I've held on to an iPhone. But a lot of it has a lot to do with everything else that I've got. If I get rid of my iPhone, well, I can't use my Apple Watch. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, this Apple Watch right here, I've already had thoughts a few times of selling my iPhone. You know what I'm saying? But just the thought of not being able to use my Apple Watch, I mean, now if this was compatible with Android, you know what I'm saying? Maybe. You know what I'm saying? But I mean, the fact that I'm like, yo, if I get rid of this, I can no longer use this. I mean, the AirPods, I mean, I can connect those to any Bluetooth connected device. You know what I'm saying? My iPod or my iPad, I don't need an iPhone to function my iPad. That's its own thing. You know what I'm saying? But it's like all these things together, it just make the experience is like no other, man. It is like no other. All right. And I see that now. All right. I see it now. All right. You heard it. Okay. I admit it. Okay. All you Apple fanboys and fangirls. All right. You got me. All right. Hashtag Apple. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I salute y'all that been on this for the longest. And I just been the one that's just been behind the curve. And hey, okay, I'm up with the times now. All right, better late to the party than never. All right, man. So that's all I got, man. So, thank you for joining me in the video on being immersed in the whole Apple ecosystem now. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to expose yourself to tons of more videos that I've done like this one. And keep it locked here at Pristine Mobile Tech because I've got so much more content to come. Be sure to hit that notifications bell. Shout out to the notification gang. Every time my videos go live, you'll get a notification indicating that Pristine just dropped something new. And get down in the comments after you peeped it and let me know what you think about what you saw. All right, that's where I'll be at, chilling, answering questions, comments, or feedback, constructive criticism, whatever you got for me. I'll be chilling in the comment section waiting on your comments. All right, so until the next video, you already know. Please stay safe, get spiritually fit, and I'll catch y'all in the next video. Peace.